In the spirit of resilience, we're celebrating with a beloved South African classic, milk tart. This creamy cinnamon-dusted dessert has been a cherished part of our culinary heritage for generations and has stood the test of time in our kitchens, representing tradition and home. Now, when I think of South Africa, and I think of favorite desserts, malva pudding and custard and milk tart.
I think it's malva pudding and custard and milk tart.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those desserts that has truly, stood the test of time. And it definitely is a huge part of the fabric of what makes us South Africa. At least in my family, that's the case, because milk tart has always been around. For as long as I can remember, there was always milk tart on the table.
But milk tart for me looks very intimidating and overwhelming. Where does one start?
So it's so simple, Pali. In this saucepan over here, I've got some sugar, butter, and salt, right? And it's only fitting. We're paying homage to such a classic, iconic South African dessert, and it's only fitting that we use Clover fresh milk, who is actually celebrating their 125th birthday this year. So truly, it's truly special. And we're celebrating 125 years of amazing sips and pours with Clover fresh milk. And what's really great is that to celebrate that, they brought out this beautiful heritage pack. For every pack that is bought, Clover will donate 20 cents to various community projects, which is great.
No, the heritage packaging looks so
beautiful,
iconic.
Right?
I love that.
So, just to recap, sugar, butter, salt in our pan. We're going to go in with about 250 mils in there of the milk. And
I see your pan is cold. Is that important?
Pan is cold because I don't want to scorch it. I just want to bring it up to heat slowly. So we've got a gentle heat. And Pali, I'm going to ask you to just keep an eye on that with the spatula over here. And then separate to that, in this bowl, I've got some more sugar. I've got some corn flour. I've also got some eggs. So we've separated the eggs. You'll see I've got the yolks going in here. And we've got the whites that are beaten up that we're going to use a bit later. And then to this, I'm going to add some vanilla. And you know what? I've forgotten the most important ingredients.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. So whole cinnamon stick going into there.
Okay.
Let's give this a little bit of a head start.
A little bit of more encouragement.
Okay. So in this pan, in this bowl, I'm just going to whisk this up together just to create a nice paste. And then to this bowl, Pali, I'm going to add a little bit of more milk. So another cup going in there. And obviously we know that eggs don't respond very well to high heat or temperature changes. So to avoid us from curdling this mixture, we've added some of the cold milk in here just to loosen that thick paste that we had going on.
Gotcha.
And then let's see how we're doing here. Okay, so the butter is still...
It's still whole. We can hike up the heat.
So the idea is that you get the butter all the way melted. I think just for the sake of today, Pali, I'm just going to motor on with this. So while the butter's still melting, I'm just going to add a little bit of what is melted to this egg mixture. And this is a process that we call tempering. So it's about slowly bringing the eggs up to temperature, to the same temperature that the milk's at.
But without scrambling them.
Without scrambling them, that's correct. Because there's nothing worse than spending so much time making a dessert that you're sort of expecting a specific texture and it doesn't work out. So really take your time, and that's exactly what we're doing here with the butter. And it's almost there, Pali. And you can see that you can sort of still touch the pan, so it's not all the way boiling. And that's the key to getting the perfect milk tart.
So it seems as if milk tart is just a labor of patience and a labor of love. Be slow, gentle, bring it up to a relative and a considerable temperature, and then you start tempering it with a cold mixture.
Exactly. So once you're at this point, you can then return this mixture.
Okay.
Thanks, Pali. To this. And then you're going to get this thickening.
Okay.
Right. So this is with the addition of the eggs and the corn flour, you're going to get a nice thickened mixture. With something like this, Pali, we've used the Clover fresh milk, which really adds to the richness and the smooth texture of this dessert. It's really bringing in, all the, the beautiful nutrients of the milk as well, and really giving you a smooth, consistent texture, which is what we're looking for here. So we're going to add that heat just a little bit more.
And I suppose, what is a milk tart without the creaminess?
Exactly.
And that Clover milk continues to add the creaminess, as you've said, enhances the flavors, and that is exactly what we're looking forward to in a milk tart.
Ideally, what you'd like to do is let this thicken up and cool down. And then this is a part that is a bit polarizing because not everyone does this step, but in terms of a traditional milk tart, I've always been taught that this is an important step, and that's stiff beaten egg whites that get folded into this mixture, a little bit at a time.
So, Jay, before folding in the egg whites into the mixture in the pan, do we need to wait for the pan to cool down at all?
Yeah, so you would need to wait for the pan to cool down. I'm just going to whisk it so that we can temper it a little bit.
Okay.
But then you'll just add this in 2 additions, nice and thick, into your beautifully lined baking tin with, I've used store-bought puff pastry in here. You could use a biscuit crust, you could use a short crust pastry, and then that goes into the oven to properly bake and set.
And as soon as we are finished whisking up the contents of that pan and it's cooled down and thickened up in the right way, we're going to transfer it into the baking tray and then into the oven for how long?
Yes, so 200 degrees for about 35 to 40 minutes until it's nice and set, but still a little bit of a jiggle. But thankfully we have one that's prepared. So Pali, at the end of the show, that's you and I.
Now, baking this milk tart has been a delightful nod to our culinary history. Find the complete recipe at afternoonexpress.co.za, but do stay tuned as we are going to give you tips on how to be more resilient during difficult times.